Wonderful. Thank you, Marshall. Appreciate that. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the July 15th, 2026 CalPADS Q&A. My name is Paul Higgins. I am a data analyst working at CSIS supporting CalPADS. All right. Let's see. What else do we got here? Moving on to announcements. I'm going to keep it simple this week. End of year one is coming up to its deadline this Friday. So if you are not LEA approved on your end of year one, that should be your priority right now. I don't know, where the group is in general on this. I think that for the most part, we're all chugging along. But this should be your focus right now. End of year one, getting this done, prioritized by Friday. If you're still working on data population or error resolution, you are well behind the power curve, and I'm not being unkind here, but you are behind the curve and you need to step it up on this one. We are rapidly approaching that deadline, and the amendment window, while it exists and you can change stuff, that's not its purpose. Its purpose is to sit there and refine things. It's not to, finish doing your data population. It's there as a safety reserve. It's a safety gap. It's not, it should not be planned for your common work. Let's put it that way. So please concentrate on this, get this done. The service desk has been keeping up is pretty good. We have a new ticketing system and it's working out well for us, I think. We haven't run into too many issues. We can still refer back to the old ticketing system and have found a few that we can still work with back and forth. So we're doing all right on keeping up. So if you need help, ask for it. We will get you through and get you done by Friday, but you need to ask for help if you need it. We're not going to just know psychically that you need us. So let's just leave it at that. That end of year one should be the priority right now. If you've already done that, move on to end of year two, call it good. If you're done with both, you're well ahead of the curve and you should start preparing for fall one so you don't feel left out of the group. All right. Does anybody have anything else for the group? Angela, I know that we did not have a build this week, but can you discuss any bugs or problems we're having that might prevent them from certifying?
You bet. We had several that popped up just in the last couple of weeks on end of year one reports. And so while we don't like to do a full deployment the week of a deadline, because that introduces risk, we did feel strongly that we wanted to get those reports cleaned up for you so that you were certifying accurate data. So we did have a patch go in yesterday. Everybody got new reports, although I think all the fixes that they didn't even require new reports that as soon as the fix went in, mainly that this new SPED report that has the grads on it, that one's fixed, but several others. And I'm pushing for one more round of patches. So if you're still waiting on one of the EOI 1 reports fixes, there's a good chance we'll get it in tomorrow. If not, it's okay. You can always come back and we have that amendment window where if you needed to, if you weren't quite satisfied with a report, you can either recertify it during the amendment window, or like I said, oftentimes that this depends on the type of bug it is, but sometimes the fixes don't even require you to get new reports, new revisions, that it'll just reflect accurately on the report once the fix goes in.
Perfect. Before we move on, CDE, Milo, anybody, do you have anything for the group today, or are
Okay.
you set to go?
I was just gonna sort of piggyback on
Okay, there you
what
go.
you said, Paul. If folks are working on like data validations and investigating that, now is definitely not the time to let that get in the way of EOI 1. Those can wait until the amendment window if they have to, but certification is much more important.
Perfect.
That's
Thank you.
all.
I appreciate that too. Um,
I have one last announcement before we move on, Paul.
Please go ahead.
So the CDE has published the version 18.0 CalPADS system documentation, including the code sets, file specifications, extract specifications, and valid code combinations to the CDE webpage for CalPADS system documentation. So the version 18.0 set of documentation is currently available for the 26-27 academic year. We also have the 17.1 set of documentation available for this academic year as we close close out EOY, but we have now published to the CDE webpage. We have the version 18.0 set of documentation.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Thank you all for that. I appreciate it. Now I'm just going to dive right into the Q&A box and see where we go from there. So it looks like we're going to start out with Tanya 302 Q1. Our attendance technician mentioned that we do not need to report attendance to CalPADS for students enrolled for fewer than 31 days. Is that correct? It really depends on the enrollment type. If it's a primary enrollment, then that's wrong. If they were there for 1 day and it was between July 1st and August 15th and exited as an E2 3100, no, that's going to be washed out. But if you have a 1 day enrollment beginning in October and it ends the very next day and it ended as a T160 and E450, whatever it is, if it's not an N470, yes, you need to submit STAS data for that. All righty, moving on. We have Roxanne 303 Q1. When a student graduates from a private school, what information, formal documentation, if any, do I need prior to ending/exiting the private school SENR record? I am not sure. When you are working with the private schools, the NPS sites, what do they send you when the student completes? I don't have the boots on the ground experience there to know what that school should be sending you. If you look at the data guide in Appendix C or D, it shows every exit code and completion code and discusses the materials required to support it. So under the appendices, go ahead and expand out chapter 5 there. Student, there it is. And if you scroll down, you're going to see, keep going. There's a discussion someplace in here. Keep going. We should hit the completion codes.
Oh.
So here we go. Nope, those are those. No, keep going. It's the grand tour of our exit codes.
There we go.
There it is, right on top. Okay. So there is the 100 completion code, graduated standard high school diploma. And off to the far right, the notes column is going to discuss anything special that needs to happen here. So it's usually used for grade 12 students, although you can do it for 10, 11, or 12 based on the code combinations. This should be okay. I
Paul,
guess,
if I can.
yeah, please, whatever you need.
I was just going to say, and Audrey also typed it in, but for students that are in a private school, you only have two options when exiting kids. It's either an E170 or an N470. And the N470 nullifies the enrollment. So you wouldn't want to use that if the student was actually served on an ISP for the year. So E170 would be your only option at that point. So it doesn't, not that it doesn't matter that the kid did graduate because great for them, but for CalPADS purposes, we wouldn't document that.
I hadn't even gone there. Thank you. All righty, let's see. 5. Okay, moving on to Ethan 303 Q1. Are there any known issues with the CalPADS County Certification Reports table? We're seeing, for an example, blanks for LEAs that should be showing up as LEA approved or certified. Angela, I don't have a lot of insight on that. Can you?
I can take that one.
Thank you.
Yes, there's a bunch of little bugs on that report. So we have an internal bug logged. I also sent one up that a user found yesterday where brand new schools for the 25-26 academic year, IRCs, the charters are not showing up on that report either. So we just do have some more work to do on that, Ethan. Sorry about that.
All right, thank you for that, Angela. Moving on to Shelley at 306 Q1. Is there a plan to make 3.19 career technical education completers count by pathway a real-time report? This would be very helpful since we have to wait a day to get updated snapshots. I have not heard of any plans to make the 3.19 a real-time report. And I don't believe that there is a discussion going on. So I think that if you would want that, you would have to submit a ticket requesting it and providing kind of a justification for it to give it some legs for a discussion. All right, moving on to Jennifer at 308 Q1. When I navigate to the active and fixed known issues page, I get an access denied message in the tables that it's a known issue. We're having an issue with it. We're working with the vendor. We hope to have it resolved very soon. And as soon as it's resolved, you'll know because that will be populated. All right. Stella 308 Q1. The 16.27 report is still missing students for me. I have an open ticket. I cannot see the active and fixed known issues. Access is denied. Was this issue closed? And Kimberly said defect 1265 was fixed yesterday. So if you're still having issues with the 16.27, respond back to the service desk. Let us know what issues you're seeing so we can address them or reply to them in some way. Lithea at 311 Q1. I am unable to submit a service desk request. I get the following message. The data that is being submitted is being blocked due to a validation rule, or the account does not have access to the feature being requested. I've tried all the basic troubleshooting on my end, but no luck.
I have seen that one before, and I was able to help somebody resolve it. But what I would need from you, Lithea, is to type it all out, exactly what you said in there when you got that error, but send it through the email, and you can ask for me, and they'll send it up to me. And then I can work with our dev team to something called a WAF block. And don't ask me what that is because I have no idea.
I'm just impressed you have an answer ready.
So just, yeah, exactly word for word, and what time you submitted it and got that error would be helpful.
All right, thanks, Ange. And Lithea, I see your Q2. Kathy, 315 Q1. Did report 7.16 have any updates? My in-review data from 625 is very different today from today's in-review data. Okay, taking a step back here. When you place data in review uncertified, you're locking that revision. It never changes. The revised uncertified revision that continues to generate, that's showing all the new stuff. So if you're only looking at the in review uncertified data, you're looking at whatever was real on 625. If you run the revised uncertified, you're going to see the brand new data as of today. Whatever is the newest revision as of today, that is what you'll see in the revised uncertified. So the locking it up, not unless you have zero errors and you're considering certifying that revision, locking it up that way generally doesn't do you any good. So if you have uploaded data since June 25th, I would expect those revisions to look very different.
There was also a bug fix included in the patch is yesterday for 7.10, 11, and 16. So, but both of our statements are true, Paul.
All right, going back up to Lithea at 314 Q2. I was able to clear my CRSC 0548E2s, a warning, for EOI2 via online maintenance, not batch upload. However, it triggered the SDM684 F2 and SASS. Okay. Since Fall 2 data is already finalized and certified, I was not sure if it's better to leave the warning in end of year 2 or leave the fatals in Fall 2. Could you advise on which way to handle this? Okay. The Fall 2 is closed out. So it doesn't matter what it says. The certified data has been collected, parsed, sent up, it's gone. So you could eliminate all of your Fall 2 data right now, and that would be a tragedy. It would be ugly, but you wouldn't be in trouble because you have the data submitted. You'd have to recreate it, and it would be a big mess, but you'd be okay. I would say that the problem is that SASS data is only used for Fall 2. So if they were hired after Fall 2 and you submitted a SASS record for them, now you're creating the Fall 2 warnings because they shouldn't have that data because they were hired after Census Day. So it doesn't matter. It's a warning either way. Your choice. Do you want a warning for Fall 2? Do you want a warning for end of year? The SASS data is unnecessary if they were hired after Census Day, so you can safely remove it and eliminate the errors altogether.
No, what's interesting is that it says inactive.
Yeah, I know that. I saw that too, but I wasn't going to draw attention to it because it's just one little inconsistency that just bothers me. Yeah. All right. Moving on to Roxanne's Q2 at 319. With the graduating private school student ending the SENR with an E170, what should the SWIDS look like to correspond with that? Not eligible graduated high school with a regular diploma?
I think probably eligible and not enrolled. Just because like CTE doesn't necessarily certify or recognize private school diplomas. I could totally be wrong, to be honest. But this is just my instinct based off of taking a look at the private school FAQs earlier. But Roxanne, if you wouldn't mind sending an email just so I can double check this up the chain. I'm just not sure if the student should be SPED data support at cde.ca.gov.
Or you could submit a service desk ticket and we can get it to him. Either way, both will get to him.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, looks like Clarissa at 320 Q1. Does end of year data go into credential monitoring like misassignments? I think Fall 2 is only used by CTC for assignment monitoring. So it's just the Fall 2 data that's used. I don't believe that end of year 2 data is used. And if any of my colleagues can jump in and confirm that, I would appreciate it because I don't have anything written down to support that.
You are correct, Paul.
Great.
Fall 2 is the assignment monitoring submission.
All right, so we have an empty Q&A box. So we're just gonna sit here for a moment while it loads up again. I know that's just an automatic function. Nobody's actually typing, right?
Realized I asked Lethea to send an email and I didn't put that in the chat, so I will do that just in case she doesn't have it.
Okay, here we go. Larney, 322 Q1. I thought that PSTS are for those who completed high school in their prior academic year. Is there a difference between PSTS for CTE and PSTS for SPED in terms of who gets surveyed? We have received the data quality analysis for our CELPA, and our students who left last year as ninth graders are expected to have PSTS. Is this correct? All right, so let me open up a ticket here really quick because 41E1. I had a really fun thing. Damn it. All right. Bear with me. Bear with me. Oh, even better. Okay, so Alex has beat me to it. And up on the screen, you see who gets surveyed for which PSTS when. The fall 2 post, the PSTS is for the CTE students, and they have their time frame defined there. End of year 1 is the PSTS data for our SPED students. And those should have completed, and again, there it is. Yeah, I still want to find my answer because it actually has dates. It has the date range and it has the full everything on there. Hold on. I'm just being picky and fussy. Okay. So for the 25-26 SPED PSTS data to exist in CALPADS, the student must have been exited as either E230 using the completion code 100, 102, 120, 250, 320, 330, or 360, or exit codes E125, E140, E300, E400, E410, or T280, using exit dates between 8/16/2024 and 8/15/2025. Okay, so those are the baselines for the 2025-2026 SPED PSTS collection. And I'm going to put that in the chat too. Okay, right there.
One other consideration is that it is collected for students age 14 to 21. So you may have to pay attention to that age range as well. But yeah, it's not for.
Is it 14 or is it 16? Because the PSTS 0481E1 triggers off of 16.
To my knowledge, it's 14 based on an email from Brandy I read earlier, but I don't have actual documentation right now.
Okay, if she's saying 14, then we need to have a discussion because the error is triggering off of 16. Just FYI for future discussions that we may or may not have to have.
Yeah, for sure. I also dropped a link to the CalPADS Flash that has the information that you pasted as well, which is linked lower on the page that you're showing.
Perfect. All right, I think we have thoroughly beaten this horse to death, and I'm going to move on. All right, at 3:22, we have Angela Mata, Q1. Could Dominic please clarify / repeat what he said about not letting the data quality checks hold us back down?
She retyped her question below.
Oh. I got, okay, good. Data quality checks hold districts back for certifying. There you go. Have a discussion.
I was essentially just tagging on to what Paul had said about focusing on end of year this week, that if you're still working on data quality analysis, validating data, maybe updating some things, that should not take up time that is needed to work on your end of year 1, getting that into LEA approved status by Friday. The amendment window is there if corrections need to be made to the data based on those validations, but don't let it prevent you from certifying this week.
All right, thanks, Dominic. Back to Charlene 324 Q1. A teacher joined our district on 3/22/2026. There's no way to extract his assignment record through fall 2 or end of year 2. Is manually adding his assignment the only way to resolve the missing assignment issue. Uh, if they were hired on 3/22/2026, that means that they were hired after census day. So they would not need a SAS record until 26/27, which is upcoming. So what warning are we discussing, I guess, for end of year 2? Let me look that up here. Charlene, can you share with me what we're looking at here, which warning? Well, anyway, if the staff member was hired after the fall 1, fall 2 census day for 24. Oh, it's a warning, but I put it in his own manual. Okay. They should not need a SAS record until next year. So I'm not sure which warning you're discussing here. So go ahead and respond here. Let me know the warning. We'll look it up. We'll talk about it, or put in a ticket. I'll be happy to do that too.
I just looked up your LEA and CALPADS, Charlene, and I'm not seeing a warning in CALPADS related to this, so it may be a different system. I think in end of year 2, you do need to submit updated staff demographic records, but you're able to do that without uploading the staff assignment records, and you're not intended to upload staff assignment in end of year 2. That is for assignment monitoring purposes and fall 2 data collection. So if they leave over the summer, we may never hear about this teacher's assignments in CALPADS. We would only hear about them as they occur on census day.
I think there is an end of year
Yep.
warning though that says
Yeah.
you have a demographic or course record with no assignment attached
And
to
our
it.
requirements section is actively discussing why that exists actively in end of year, considering that SAS data is not necessary for end of year.
Yep.
So
I'm not seeing
it
any
exists.
warnings for Charlene's LEA though.
I think she fixed it. She put it in the SAS record already manually.
Oh,
she said.
okay. So she's probably getting the fall 2 warning now saying, hey, you got stuff in there that you shouldn't have. But if you're not checking the fall 2 warnings, because why would you at this point, you're not seeing them. All right, let's dive back in here. Up at 328, we have Larney's Q2. Is there logic built into 16.27 for students with disability completers and dropouts? I noticed students with an IEP who graduate with a standard high school diploma are not included in the count.
For that, you'll want to make sure that the students with disability status record that changes their eligibility isn't dated before that graduation enrollment exit. According to the documentation, yeah, that's exactly what I was looking at. It does pull in students at the bottom of, or the third bullet, regular high school diploma, alternate pathway, certificate, max age, or dropped out.
All right, and so if you're having issues with somebody on there, go ahead and open a service desk ticket and let us know, and we'll look at it with you. All right, Colleen 329 Q1. For end of year 1, is the data officially pulled after the certification deadline or after the amendment window closes? Does the answer differ for other submissions with amendment windows? Yes, it does differ from time to time, depending on CDE's reporting requirements or upcoming deadlines. So generally speaking, the certified data after the amendment window is what is used. But there are times where the certified data as of the initial deadline is what is used for certain calculations like the P1 stuff. So you get estimates based on your initial certification. And then if you change things during the amendment window and it changed the end results, then that end data is used for the revised P1 data or estimates, whatever it is. So there are different scenarios where different types of data are used, but generally speaking, it is the certified data after the amendment window. And Charlene at 3:30, I can get the warning back if I remove the assignment. Yes, you can. Totally your choice how you want to go about that. SAS data is not necessary for that student. You can leave it just as it is. You can take it out. You can resolve the fall 2 warning. It's however you want to handle it. The warnings are really not going to affect you that badly. Yvette, 331 Q1. How often is the CALPADS SIS vendor and product capabilities updated?
Not frequently, unless somebody is trying to get added. So I would work with them to make that happen. So, or if we add a new service type. So,
Am I searching in the right place? Oh, yeah, this one.
It's
Is
under services, SIS vendors, CalPADS vendor capability.
Thank you.
And we do update this if vendors let us know that information has changed, and we do a quarterly inquiry to the vendors asking if it is up to date.
All right. So I guess the direct answer to your question would be quarterly if it changes. All right. Stella, 333 Q2. There is a really great table that shows the exit codes for SPED students. Could you point me to it? I have looked and looked, but I can't find where it lives. Thank you.
I put a link in the chat,
Okay.
and I'm wondering if it's that specific file that Stella is referring to.
Yeah, Stella, we're not really sure which one you're talking about, so we'll try and point you to whatever we can find. Is what's on screen what you were looking for? It might have been a flash. Does anybody know of a good exit matrix for students with disabilities that may have come out in a flash? And we are all frantically checking our flashes.
There's this chart that shows the different scenarios, but I don't know. I
What
can't
number
remember
is
if this is in there
Hmm.
in the SPED and CD's website. It's not I don't know if it was a flash. I can't remember now.
Well, you're probably not dreaming, Stella. It's just we have a lot of good guides that we try and send out to people, and sometimes it resonates more with one person than another, and we just lose track of them. Let's see here. Yeah, I can't think of any specific.
Maybe in the FAQs.
Yeah,
Sorry. In the FAQs,
I have
Alex.
a list. Flash 166 was the initial students with disability flash. It had exit reason code. Flash 183 title special education program exit reason cleanup. We talked about Exit reason code 71 and 74. Flash 203 talked about exit school completion statuses. And Flash 276 has N470 guidance. That's what I have.
Okay, so pretty much everything except for 276 has fallen off of the archives already.
Yep.
Well, I would hate to leave you hanging out there on that. I just don't know what good guidance to give you here.
This is, I think, Adriana, what you were saying, the certificate of completion FAQ and how to exit.
Yeah, that was one of them, yeah, that I was looking at.
And she's saying that it was specific to exits and certificates of completion. Oh yeah, I mean, if this had come in on a service desk ticket based with just that verbiage, I probably would consult with CDE SPED and say, hey, what do you got?
Well, Paul, the description for Flash 203 says this flash identified the specific exit and school completion status code. So that might be it.
That might
Flash
be it then,
203.
yeah.
203 is about the post-secondaries. Paul, you were looking at some of the content earlier, and it's linked in the chat also. Nothing's ringing a bell for me either. So Stella, if you want to, I don't know if this is ticket worthy or if this is better for an email to SPED data support, but either way, we can do some deeper digging.
Yeah, good call. I appreciate everybody digging in on that. Moving on to Larney at 335. Q3 on 1623, students with disabilities, special education status, and non-participation reasons student list. Is it okay that we are seeing students with eligibility and participation on the status column, but on the school completion code with graduating standard high school diploma? Is this not contradicting, since when a student with an IEP meets the graduation requirements, they are no longer eligible? Maybe I'm just reading the report incorrectly.
So basically, a student can only be in one status for any particular day. They can only be enrolled somewhere for any particular day. So on these reports, we want the student to still show as eligible and participating on the day they are enrolled and the day that the graduation, the earning of the diploma is reported as of. And then when you change the status the day after, it doesn't impact the student pulling into this report. In fact, I believe the guidance on changing the SWIDS the day after the enrollment exit is based on students not appearing in 1623. So you would expect to see graduates with a standard high school diploma in this report with the status of eligible and participating, because that's exactly what they were on that last day of enrollment.
Perfect. Thank you, Dominic. All right, let's jump back in here. And Charlene has provided us the warning, which was a CRSC 05482 submitted seed missing staff assignment record, which this is the one that was identified as inactive, but it's still active. It's a warning. It's about having SASS data after census day. So again, this warning will not prevent you from getting your data LEA approved. The only thing that it's triggering on right now is that there is SASS data inputted where I'm sorry, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, they're a teacher. You just haven't submitted the SASS record, which again, not required for end of year. So I would just let this one fly. Don't upload that SASS data until fall 2.
I also think the page for this error in the CalPADS user manual reflects some kind of some thinking around possibly retiring it. So it does show as inactive at the top of the page, and if you scroll to the bottom, it shows that it was retired on 8/25 or August 2025, but it is still triggering for you. And so it's possible that it wasn't deactivated as intended, or that there is some kind of back and forth at the state level in this around this warning.
All right, and just waiting for more to come into the Q&A. We got 17 minutes left.
Sorry, if this was already brought up, but I'm still thinking about Stella's question. I put a link in the chat from the FAQ. It makes me think of that table, the matrix with the exits. If not, it's okay. I was just still searching.
No, I appreciate that.
Oh, Stella says that's it, Mila.
Hey, I should have
Hey.
my money in something. Yay.
See what happens when we all put our collective minds together. Where you find anything. Where's Hoffa? I want to see his body. All right, Q&A box is still empty.
Oh, Ethan has a question in the chat that may explain why we have fewer folks in the Q&A today. There is the CDE is webinar for RFEPs. I think may have had some overlap with this session.
Wasn't that yesterday?
It's happening right
No,
now.
it's happening right now. I got the reminder on my screen right now.
Well, that is a good one to go to if you're going to go to something. Well, before this silence gets uncomfortable, somebody's got to say something. And it's not going to be me. Oh, wait a minute, here it comes. Charlene, Q2, who should we be rooting for, Spain or Argentina? Oof.
Spain.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dom. I'm with Spain myself.
Who's the underdog?
Spain.
The way things are going for Messi, I would say anybody facing Argentina is the underdog. He's been ridiculous this tournament.
For today.
Larnie has a follow-up to her Q2. I was feeling ridiculous with the answer provided to my question. I thought I'd check myself on why I wrote that question. I do see a 1627 report that I pulled as late as 710, and it's showing 0 high school diploma. The one I pulled today has numbers. Was there a fix to this report? Did I do something wrong when I pulled this report previously? I guess my first question to you, Larnie, would be, what date did you upload your high school graduates? When did you close that? Oh, and Kimberly Dang said the defect 1265 was fixed yesterday, so that could relate to it as well. Or it could be that you were holding off on uploading that SENR file until you were done uploading all the rest of your data, so you hadn't actually exited your students yet. I don't know. I'd have to, I guess, do a forensic review. Oh, you did it in June. Okay. Then Kimberly's answer of defect 1265 may play into that. It's difficult to say at this point. All right, it looks like Ethan has a Q2 at 346. Could Angela say a little bit more about what changed about the certification reports with the recent patch? We're not huge fans of the situation where we certify data we believe to be accurate, but then the cert report logic gets changed and it appears as if we certified something different.
You and me both. I think we share that philosophy. So it's supposed to be frozen after you certify, but apparently there are instances where some kind of tweak on the back end. Alex, if I were to send you a picture of the fixes that went in, would you be able to share that?
Yeah, certainly try. Where am I looking? Teams?
I went to your Teams chat, which is
Oh,
three.
here it is. Okay.
Tiny. I wonder if you could make it a little bit bigger.
Whoa, too much?
Actually, that was better. So 7.10, 11, and 16 were fixed. 16.27 and 16.28 were fixed. The last one, it's missing from the title, but I know that one, it's 5.1. The school-wide count was off by 1 because all of our other like cumulative enrollment counts for that, we exclude one-day enrollments for graduates. We don't count those students, and they missed that on 5.1. So they were over-counting. They were including grads in the Title I school-wide count when they should not have been.
Okie doke. Looks like Rocky 348 Q1. If a school wants to automate the EL services codes, do you think it would be better to try setting up the automation from the class level or from the student level from an SIS to compare both of them and submit the SCSE/SCSC EL services codes according to the hierarchical table? Some classes, the same student is taking some classes the student is taking may offer different services.
If I remember correctly, the EL service code should represent what the teacher is providing, what services the teacher is providing for the EL students, not necessarily at the student level.
So from your perspective, you think the CRSC, starting from the course level, would be the more accurate way to do it because it's what the teacher is providing.
Right. And if I remember correctly, that field is used for assignment monitoring to make sure that the teachers have the appropriate authorizations to be providing those kinds of services to the students. And so I think it's only required for fall 2, but I'll have to check the CFS if that's a field that is required for end of year. Let's see. Yeah, so if you give it to us for the completion for end of year, the contents of this field will not be stored in CalPADS. So,
Okay. So yeah, it sounds, yeah, the fall 2 data, if you structure it from the teacher side down, on the course side down, you'll probably get more accurate information.
mhm.
If the student is, or if the teacher's offering multiple services in the same classroom in the exact same course section, yeah, I guess you get to pick and choose, and add what they're receiving. But they would, of course, the instructor would have all of those identified on their credentials to what they're authorized for. Yeah, there you go, Ethan. I think from Ethan, it says, I think ideally it would be tied to the teachers since it's based on what they're able to provide, but it's tied to the course section, not the student. We tend to set defaults by course number and then override individual sections based on the teacher. So maybe it's just me, but I'm getting the sense that the automation on this isn't going to be quite as easy as you may believe it could be. I think that there's going to be like he said, you're going to set defaults, and then you're going to have to do a review and do overrides based on that. I mean, I've never actually sat with Ethan at his desk and worked with him, but the tickets that he sends in, he's got a very structured mind. So I don't doubt that he's got a very good approach to this. All right, we're back to an empty Q&A box, and we have 6 minutes left on the clock. So if nobody has any questions, we could, of course, turn to Marshall, who could give us a disquisition on anything he's doing with AI recently, or solar panel designs.
No, thank you. Or we could jump over to the last bit of that webinar.
Well, we could jump onto that RFEP webinar and share it here. Yeah, it'd be a mirror.
Oh, thank you, Alex, putting up that. I need to update that. Getting ready for the next sessions.
Just in case you need any kind of motivation to get you through that initial deadline.
It works for me. I play it all the time, especially the new ones.
I'll also say that if you have a CERT 97, you are running out of time. That clock is ticking very fast because that one has to be fixed in cars typically. So that means you have to wait for nightly processing to happen. That's the Title I issue if you're school-wide versus the students are actually receiving services. So be mindful of that one.
All right. Well, I'm going to call it 5 minutes of your life back to you. Congrats. Do with it what you will. Only do good with it, though. Only do good with it. All right, everybody. This has been a fun Q&A. I appreciate you being here. We will have another one next week, same time, same place. And if you need help between now and then, please open up a CalPADS service desk ticket so we can get back to you as quickly as we can. Again, concentrate on that end of year data, end of year 1 specifically. But if you've done that one, get on to end of year 2 and get through that one. If we don't hear from you on the service desk, we will see you back here next week. Have a great week.